Amanda here. Thank you so much for joining me. So I'm on with part 2 of my Nature Notes journal cover tutorial. So there's several ways that you can decide on your closure, and you need to decide on your closure quite early doors. So here are the examples of a closure. Okay, you can add one of these type of closures on the front. If you've got them, you can pick them up pretty cheap on, I think I got mine from Temu or AliExpress, and they like latches. Okay, so you'd put one there and one there. Just need to be super careful of your spacing. You add them on with brads. If you're going to use this kind of closure, you need to add them after you've layered your paper on here, but before you add the paper on the back, because then the paper on the back will hide the brads. Okay, so that's one option. That's probably what I'm going to do. Another option is a magnetic closure. If you're going to do a magnetic closure, because of how we've done it, I would add magnets there, basically 4 magnets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and it's important that you add magnets on the back side of this as well as the front side of it, and I'm going to explain why. So I designed this folio thinking that I would use this, which will hold those covers together tightly. Okay, now if you don't have something that holds your covers tightly, or add magnets there and there, top and bottom, what will happen is this bit here will fold in if you don't end up with thick journal pages. There'll be too much of a gap, if you like, and this bit will fall forward. Okay, so make sure we're going to be doing, I don't know if we're going to end up with 3 signatures in total. So if you follow my way of doing it, you're going to have quite a chunky journal, and this will not happen. Okay, so another option is obviously making sure that this is nice and full. Just add ribbon, just tie it with a ribbon or string, or add an eyelet and tie it that way. Or what you can do is, once it's opened and this is the back, you can add an eyelet, and you want to add it the equivalent of, is this 3.5? Let me just get my rule. I think it's 3.5, but I can't remember. It is. So this is 3.5. So on your back cover, you want your eyelets at 1 3/4. Okay, and you'd put one at the top, one at the bottom, feed your elastic through, tie it in a knot, and then when that's closed, you'll have a loop of elastic around the back, which you can then flip around and close in this kind of fashion. I'll give you an example. Like this notebook here, which was my second idea, okay, of how I was going to do it. Can you see how it's attached in the back? And again, you want to do that after you've layered your paper on the back, but before you layer it in the front. Can you see how it's covered over? So that's the idea. I've got that from my little notebook. I was going to do that, but I don't have any of this kind of elastic. You need a quite thick elastic. I've only got the narrow elastic. I could probably double it over and it would be fine. In fact, that's a really good idea. That's a really good idea, actually. You can double your elastic over if it's not thick. So those are the different closure methods. Up to you which you choose. I think I'm going to go with this. If you're going to go with this, I will tell you, okay, to bear in mind, if you've got some of these, don't run out and buy them. Use one of the other closure methods. So what's going to happen is, bearing in mind that this is 2mm thick. So when that's laid on there, that section is 2mm lower. So when you add this on here, okay, if you just added this straight on, they're not going to match up because it's 2mm lower. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put this one that's going on that main larger cover on a small plinth, the same thickness as your chipboard. So I will just cut that out, okay, and then I'll just cut it out the best I can and then file it down with an emery board. I will just colour it in with a black Sharpie and then add my brads through there and then glue that onto there. Okay, and that's how you get around the height difference. Okay, and then when you've got these, that's going to hold that closed tightly. and so that this doesn't drop down. So those are what you need to look out for. But we're going to do quite a large journal, so it should be nice and full. I've given you plenty of room. I think we're going to do 3 signatures. Right, so what I'm going to do then in the first instance is I'm going to mat and layer my cover. Okay, so this is the front. So this measures 3.5. So I'm going to cut my piece to 3.25 wide, which then gives me a border. So 3.25, what did it, by 8.25. Yeah, 3.25 by 8.25. 3.25 by 8.25. I have to chant it to myself or I'll forget. So which part of this am I going to use? Is 3.25 going to get me that butterfly? I quite like that butterfly. But I also quite like this bit here. I really like that. Oh, I can't decide. So, yeah, what you need to do is decide which part you want. Now, I've given in the Nature Notes collection, which is what I'm using, we have... I'm going to cut that bee. No, let me move it over. So I'm not cutting the bee out. I've given you Portrait and Landscape of the... what are these called? Collages. I've given you Portrait and Landscape so that you can use them in any orientation. So 3.25 by 8.25. 3.25 by, and I'm doing this because so many people ask me to show my decorative process and my matting and layering. I think it's boring. I think it's boring to watch, but you know, it's one of the most frequently asked things. And I think it's more so people can see exactly what I'm putting where and which, you know, papers I'm choosing. So what I did there was I wanted to home in on the bee. I wanted to make sure that that bee was in. So I just adjusted where I was cutting, okay, and trimmed that first and then made it to 3.25, so that I'm making sure that that image that I want to focus on fits within my parameter. I'm not bothered about the rest of it. Any of it will do because it's a collage. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it over because this is my front, and then we can literally just glue it. And for anybody that doesn't know, I am currently using Collal glue, which is this one. I believe there are countries where you can't get hold of it. It is very much like Fabri-Tac or Beacon 3-in-1. It's just a bit thinner, so it takes a little bit longer to dry, but it doesn't clog in the bottle. I don't have to have a needle stuck in that. I don't have to shake. It doesn't clog, okay? It's awesome stuff. And it works just the same. It will work on fabric. I've even glued metal down with this stuff. Lace, just about anything will glue with this. It just takes a little bit longer to dry. I'm putting plenty on. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure I've got my journal the right way, if I have. And then I'm just going to literally layer it on. And I find that the simpler you keep it, obviously the easier it is. And you know, start simple, and if you want to add things on, do it afterwards. Because if you add heaps of stuff onto your cover before your journal's finished, they're just going to get beat up, squashed, whatever. So keep it very simple, then work on your signatures, work on your decorating, and then if you want to go back at the very end and add extra detail to your cover, that's when you do it. Okay, if you want to put glossy accents on anything or have anything 3D or add any words or any fussy cuts, do it. That is your very last job. Okay, so I'm smoothing that all around, and as you can see, it sticks on that fabric tape beautifully. Okay, and that's not going anywhere. Right, so because that's going to be covering over that bit, I'm actually just going to use plain paper. I always give plain colours. Okay, and in this one we've got greens, lilacs, all sorts of colours. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to keep it really simple and I'm going to go for the green. And I've picked the green because there's a lot of green in this segment that I've chosen. Okay, and I'm just going to keep it simple. So the cover measures, is it 6 by 8.5? I'm sure that's what I did. 6 by 8.5. So I want to cut it 5 3/4, so 1/4 of an inch smaller on the width and 1/4 of an inch smaller on the height. Okay, I've trimmed my white borders off, so I'm cutting it to 5 3/4 for the, no, that's not right. I'll need to do my height first because I'm doing A4 or else it won't fit. So 8 1/4 first, and then 5 3/4 that way. Okay. Now I have inked all of my journal pages. It takes a very long time. I don't always do it, but I have on this one, so I'm going to do it on here as well, because then it keeps it consistent. You don't have to. And if you've never bought any distress inks, they just add definition to the edge of your page. They're pretty cool. The most common used is Vintage Photo. I use Vintage Photo and Ground Espresso. They are my two favourite. I don't have all of them. I'm not about buying entire collections of things. I just buy a few and it works for me. I don't feel like I need a billion things. All right. And the last ages and ages and ages to distress inks. Okay. Lots of glue on there. I'm using 120 GSM paper, so the glue is not going to show through. Because my Collall is solvent based and not PVA based, my paper's not going to wrinkle. So I'm just going to put my flat on the deck so that I've got a flat surface, and then I can layer that on. And because we've cut it 1/4 of an inch shorter on the width and 1/4 of an inch shorter on the height, we've got a 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, and that's how we mat and layer anything, unless you want a smaller border. Some people only like a tiny border, in which case you cut it 1/8 of an inch. Okay, I'm just going to get my, well, I was going to get it. I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. My bone folder. And smooth that out. Try and smooth it towards the middle rather than out in case it splodges. Okay, but if you don't put too much glue on, you shouldn't get splodges. Okay. And then my cover will go like so. Okay, I think I am going to do this latch method. So what I'm going to need to do is prep this one on a piece of scrap chipboard. Where's that piece I just showed you? Here we go. So what I'll do is I'll put this on a piece of scrap chipboard that's the same thickness that I used for my journal. Okay. I will put it up close to the edge, and there I'll literally draw around it. I'm just going to draw around it. There we go. Okay, and then I've got some quite strong scissors, or you could use a craft knife. Okay, so I had to adjust what I was doing. Sometimes you do, it doesn't work, so you have to change it. So what I've had to do is I should have put some glue under there. Instead of having the same shape, because it was dropping into the profile of the metal, I've just cut a rectangle. I've wrapped it in the same black fabric tape as I make my cover. Okay, so now that is just giving us the same profile as that, so that in theory they'll match up. Whether they will, who knows. Right, so I've made a mark on the smaller flap to put the latch. Okay, I've made a mark at halfway, which is 4 1/4. And then I am, I just need to make sure that there's, whilst the latches are together, and now the dogs are going to start barking. One sec. Days where nothing goes to plan. I'm having one of them days, I think. I think I'm having one of them days. So I'm just going to put that up to the edge of my paper. I want it central, and I'm just taking time to make sure that those are kind of lined up, and then I'm going to make a little mark with a skinny sharper so I know where to put the hole for my brads. Now, just be careful what brads you use, because I am a little tiny bit worried that my brads are going to be a bit big, a bit high profile for my latch to open nicely. But I'm going to worry about that when I come to it. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Because these come with screws, like I've said, for boxes. But we'll see. So I'm making my holes. Making my holes. Making my holes. Okay. Let me push it all the way through so I can give it a wiggle. Don't ask me about my pokey tool. Everybody asks. My friend made it and I don't have a tutorial. But I'm sure if you look on YouTube at beaded pokey tools, somebody somewhere in the world will have done one. Okay? But I haven't. Right, where's my brads? Here we go. I have got some lower profile brads, but they're teeny weeny, and I think they will slip through the hole. Will they? Are they lower profile than those? Let's have a look. They are. They are. I might just change these brads. Have I got any bronze ones? Let's have a look. They're only tiny though. I'm not sure that they're going to hold. You know, over time that they're going to hold. Yeah, the pin at the back's not deep enough. We'll stick with his original plan. If it doesn't work, oh well, I'll change it to something else and we'll just have fancy metal bits on the front. Okay. So, let me get both my brads through. Okay. Okay, there we go. They're both through. Flick back the doofers. Give it a really good squeeze. Give it a really good squeeze. Get that down as tight as you can. Might have been an idea to put some glossy accents on there, but you know, you live and learn. Yeah, I think my catcher's gonna. Don't know if my catcher's gonna stick. Let's have a try. I've got a really bad feeling that might just stick. No, it should be all right. It should be fine. So what we're going to do is we are going to put this on whilst it's closed. Okay. Like so. And then we're going to put some glue on the back and hope that it sticks. Okay, so I've never used one of these before. I ended up using glossy accents because the coal just wasn't cutting it. Okay. And I've tried it and it does work. It does work. Just my brads are a little bit on the large side, but it does work. Okay, so it fastens. And it closes and it looks lovely. Okay, now I'm just a little bit worried that if my journal's not big enough that this is going to flap down, but we will address that when we come to it if it's not quite right. Okay, so let's see if I can just undo this because that glossy accents is still a little bit wet. Okay, I'm going to try my best to just leave that alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cover this with paper just yet, in case I decide to add a magnet for extra stability. Shouldn't be necessary once the journal's finished, but it's just to cover my back. So now we need to address the inside. Okay, so for the inside cover, we're going to do a stack pocket. So I've cut a strip by 7 inches by 3.5, and I'm going to score 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So 1/2 inch there, 1/2 inch, so 1/2 inch. So on the 7 inch side, 1/2 inch and 6.5. Then turn it to the 3.5 inch side and score at 1/2 inch. This one measures 7 by 2.5. So on the 7 inch side, we're scoring again at 1/2 inch and 6.5. And then along the 2.5 inch side, I'm going to do a gentle score at 1/2 inch. I'm not even going to do a gentle score, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to do a little mark there and a little mark there. Okay. So the 2.5 one, we're going to just fold at the sides, and we're going to, no, we will need to just score at 1/2 inch. Score at 1/2 inch on the longs, on there, on the 2.5 inch side, just score at 1/2 inch. Okay, and then we're going to, what we're going to do here, we're going to just notch and then a large notch down there, slim notch. So you've got a square and then the rectangle, you're doing the slim notch on the rectangle. So you've got your square there, and then we're going to a deep notch. So you've got that. Okay. And then on the larger one, we're going to fold those on those scores. And we're just making a stacked pocket. And this is going on the inside front cover. So on this one, you want to get some long scissors. And we're going to cut right across where the lines meet and make an X, right across at an angle, and snip that corner off. Okay, fold those over, make sure they don't overlap, which mine don't. Okie dokie. And then I'm going to just move my scoreboard out of the way. Where's my bone folder gone? There we go. I'm going to push that down flat on the desk and give that a really good burnish. Burnish the heck out of it. Burnish the heck out of it so that it lays nice and flat. And then the same with this one. Burnish the heck out of it. Oops, squashed it. Okay, and then this one is going to just slip just inside there. Okay, just inside. When we glue it onto the page, it will be just inside like so. Okay, so you've got a pocket there and a pocket there. All right. I'm a little bit tired today. I'm kind of at that stage today now. It's been a very long day. I've been very busy doing things. And I feel like I should send myself to the naughty step. Like, everything's going wrong. I'm getting a little bit grouchy. And this video, I feel like it's not going very well. But, you know, I promised I'd do it, and so I'm doing it. Now, do I need to do this now? Do you know what? I'm going to have to wait to do this stacked pocket. The reason being, am I? Or shall we do elastic binding? I can't decide. If I'm going to do a sewn-in signature, I'm going to have a piece of cardstock there, so I need to do these after, don't I? I've given you the measurements. One will go there and one will go there. I'm going to wait because I think I'm going to do I'm going to have a piece of cardstock going over there, so then my pockets would layer over the cardstock. I've not thought that through properly. Like I said, I'm tired and I'm not fit to speak to. So on the back here, we need something. So let me have a think what we can have. I really like the envelopes. I really, really do. So I'm going to use my scraps. And I know this is 8.5. So to start my envelope, I need a piece that measures 9.5. Okay. 9.5. 9.5. 9.5. And it's 6, so I want my envelope to be about there. What does that measure? If I have it about there, 4. So by 4.5. So 9.5 by 4.5. Okay. We're going to score on all 4 sides. No, we're not. We're scoring on 3 sides. So put it on your 9.5 inch side, score at 1/2 inch, and score at 9 inches. Turn it to the 4.5 inch side and score at 1/2 inch. That will make the pocket part. Okay. Then you want another piece that measures another piece, and this is going to measure 8.5. 8.5. Should have done the shorter cut first, but I'm tired and my brain's not thinking. So what's this going to be? So this is going to be 4, and the page is 6. I want it to overlap to about there, which is 6. 1, 2, 3.5. 3.5, so we want this to be 4.5. So the same, 4.5. Okay. And we're going to score that just on one. So with it in the 4.5 inch, we score at 1/2 inch. Okay, and that will make our envelope. So these won't fold in on our first piece. And again, I'm not going to stick these down yet in case I decide. I'm not quite sure what to do. I don't know whether to... I can't decide. The problem I'm having is I cannot decide whether to do sewn-in signatures or eyelets with Midori style. I just can't make my mind up, folks. I think I'm going to do the eyelets. I think I am. And the reason being because I want to make sure that this is nice and full of pages so that this bit doesn't flop about. And so if we do eyelets with the elastic binding and our journal's not full enough, we can add more pages. But if we do the sewn-in signatures and our journal's not full enough, we can't add and you can't take away. So we're going to do the eyelet method. I've decided. So because we're going to do the eyelet method, I just need to put some strips there. Okay, I'm just going to trim this down because... So I need to put some strips over here. I don't want it showing. So I need to cut it to about there. Yep. Okay. Let me get another piece and then I'll measure them for you because we want to cover that over. Right. My body is so achy. I've been doing 7 1/4. I've been doing some very hard manual labour this weekend. And I'm just stiff as a bone. I'm just not fit to speak to her. As soon as this video is done, I'm going to bed. And I'll edit it tomorrow. This video is going to be a day late. I'm sorry. It's just too late to be editing videos for me. It's past my bedtime. Right. Let's focus and stop being silly. So I'm going to stick... Now this is going to be covered with paper. So if I centralise it, I've made it so that it's long enough to overlap. So there's no chipboard showing. But yet short enough so that my paper will cover over and you'll never know that I've added this. Where's my bone folder? I don't know where anything is. I don't know what my name is, where I live. I don't know now. Okay. Okay. There we go. And smooth it over. And then that will just be covered with the patterned paper. So we're not going to see it. As long as it's in that gusset nice and firm. We're golden. Okay. So what I don't want to do is overlap that black tape, do I? I might do actually. I might do. Don't suppose it matters. You're not going to see it. It's that thin. So again, I'm going to stick it on the one side, but not on the other. And then I'm going to push it into the gusset. Get off. I don't want you on there yet. Push it into the gusset. Okay, and up against the other side, then smooth it over. There we go. And that will get, I'll put paper over that. I'll hide it with a butterfly. Right, so now we can put our pockets, all of our pockets on. So the pockets that I gave you the sizes for earlier, we can now lie them down because I've decided on our binding method. Sometimes I just can't decide because I like them both. But I do think that the Midori style is more versatile. Because like I say, you can add and remove. Add and remove. So I'm adding that larger pocket. Flush up against the edge of the journal. Flush up against this edge so that it's not going into the gusset. Okay. And flush with the bottom. Okay. Give that a press. And then the smaller one, we're going to just layer over the top. Am I filming? I had a horrible thought then that I hadn't pressed the camera. You know, press play. I need a nap. Okay. So I'm going to slide that. Make sure it's on top of the, you know, the folded over bits on the previous pocket. Make sure it's on over the top of those. So again, flush up against the side. Make sure it's slipped in, kind of straight. And there we go. Then we'll line that with paper, that with paper, and that with paper. That pocket will go all the way, and that is halfway. Okay. So now we can put on our envelope pieces. All right. So all I need to do here is I love these envelopes because when you're making journals, you know, you're going to have bits of memories that you just want to slip in somewhere. Little receipts or things like that, little memorabilia that you might not want to necessarily glue in or attach to a page, or you might have some leftover fussy cuts. This is perfect. So this is going to go flush top to bottom up to the edge, but you don't want it right into the, you want to leave about a 1/16 of an inch, not quite an 1/8, but it wants to be away from that gusset. So if you're not sure, just fold your book up like that and just double check. Okay, but it's flush top and bottom. And give that glue a chance to dry. Make sure it's straight. Okay, and then we've got our flap here. Now, how am I going to do the flap? I could do it rectangular. I think I'm just going to round those corners, but I can do that whilst it's glued in. That's not a problem. Okay. Waiting for that glue to dry, and then we'll just add the last one. So either you could cut them off at an angle, round the corners. I think I'm just going to round them, and I'll do that after, because I can't be trusted to do anything correct today. Not only are they useful as pockets, okay, it's another surface to add beautiful paper to. Okay, I'm going to line that up. I'm going to make sure it's lined up with the pocket, up against the edge of that piece of chipboard, but not into the gusset, and try and get it straight. You'll know when it's straight because it'll line up flush top and bottom, because it's exactly the same size as the cover. Okay, yep, so I'm happy with that. So we've now got our envelope. Okay, so I'm going to leave that video for now, because I think if I start doing any more, the video is going to be too long. So the next video, we're going to come back, we're going to do our position our signatures, and I'm going to decorate the rest of these elements with you so that you can follow along and see how I cut things, etc. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I will leave you, love you and leave you for now, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.